There are moments in life when the smallest things seem to hold the greatest power over us. A careless word from someone we barely know, a delay that throws off our plans, a decision from another person that changes the course of our day. We tell ourselves we're in control, yet so often our mood, our focus, even our sense of self-worth shift with every gust of wind the world blows our way. Some would say that's simply what it means to be human. After all, emotions are proof that we feel deeply, that we care. And yet if we pause for just a moment, we might wonder what happens when those same emotions become the very thing that blinds us or binds us. It's tempting to think the answer is to suppress what we feel, to lock it away and present a calm surface to the world. But suppression is not strength, nor is it freedom. True strength, if such a thing exists, might lie somewhere else entirely. Perhaps it is in allowing ourselves to feel the storm without being swept away by it. Perhaps it is in learning to stand still in the center, to watch the waves rise and fall, and in that stillness, to choose our next step with clarity. I've seen people with extraordinary potential lose everything in a moment of anger. I've also seen others facing the same challenges, the same chaos, remain steady, their very presence changing the energy of the room. And I find myself asking, what sets them apart? Is it something they were born with, or something they chose to build, moment by moment, choice by choice? Over the next little while, I'd like us to explore this together, not as a set of rules, not as a list of steps, but as an invitation to look inward, to question how much of what we feel truly serves us, and how much is simply habit. And perhaps in that questioning, we might begin to see that emotional mastery is less about control and more about freedom. 1. The truth about emotional control. We live in a culture that tells us to follow your heart, as if every emotion is a compass pointing toward truth. It's a romantic idea, comforting even, but in practice it's a little like trusting the weather to tell you which direction to walk. On some days it might guide you toward sunshine, on others it could carry you straight into a storm. In psychology there's a term called emotional hijacking, coined by Daniel Goleman, the author who brought emotional intelligence into the mainstream. It describes those moments when our amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, takes over before our rational mind can even weigh in. The result? We say something we regret, make a decision we can't undo, or burn a bridge that took years to build, all in a matter of seconds. I think back to a friend I knew in my 20s. Brilliant, charismatic, always the life of the room. He had big dreams of launching his own business, and for a while it looked like everything was falling into place. But he had a temper that burned fast and hot. One heated exchange with a potential investor, one sarcastic remark he couldn't pull back was enough to make that investor walk away. He didn't just lose the funding, he lost the momentum, the connections, and eventually the dream itself. Here's the paradox. Emotional control isn't about becoming a robot. It's about becoming more human, not less. It's about holding the full depth of what you feel, anger, excitement, fear, joy, without letting it spill into every decision you make. Think of it as steering a powerful horse. The animal's energy is the reason you move forward at all. But without the reins, you're at the mercy of wherever it decides to run. Some people hear the phrase emotional control and imagine a cold, unfeeling person. But in reality, those who master their emotions often feel more deeply than anyone else. They just don't confuse feeling with reacting. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That space is the birthplace of emotional control, and it's a space we can learn to expand. Life will test you, not once, not twice, but constantly. The insult from a stranger, the unreturned call, the project that fails despite your best effort. These aren't exceptions. They're the rule. You can either be carried along by every emotional wave, or you can become the one who decides which waves are worth riding. And emotional control isn't built in the heat of the moment. It's built in the quiet, everyday choices you make when nobody is watching. The way you speak to yourself in traffic, the patience you practice in a slow-moving line, the discipline of protecting your morning from the world's demands. Not every emotion has earned the right to shape your life. The wisdom lies in knowing the difference. 2. The mindset shift. You are not your emotions. There's a quiet but powerful shift that happens when you realize you are not what you feel. Most of us live as if every emotion is a mirror of our identity. We say, "I'm angry," as if anger owns us. We say, "I'm anxious," as if anxiety is our name. Psychologists call this emotional fusion, blending who we are with what we feel. Neuroscience shows that most emotions are chemical surges that fade in about 90 seconds, unless we feed them with thoughts. But when we identify with them, we turn passing clouds into permanent weather. I met a man at a retreat who'd called himself an anxious person since high school. During a mindfulness exercise, he was asked to describe where anxiety sat in his body. That's when he stopped saying, "I am anxious," and started saying, "I notice anxiety is here." That small shift created distance, and in that distance, choice. Think of emotions like guests at your table. You can listen to all of them, but you don't have to hand over the keys to your house. The shift from "I am my emotions" to "I experience emotions" is like stepping into the driver's seat instead of being locked in the trunk. Once you start seeing emotions as signals rather than self-definitions, you'll notice how many of them are echoes of old fears and outdated stories. You'll realize you don't have to keep living by their script. This is where emotional freedom begins. 3. Building the fortress. Emotional discipline. If emotions are waves, discipline is the shoreline that shapes them. Without it, they erode everything you've built. With it, they become power you can direct. Emotional discipline isn't forged in crises. It's formed in the micro decisions you make daily. A nurse named Carla once told me her secret to staying calm in the ER. "I practice on small things." She stayed steady when the coffee machine broke or someone cut her off in traffic. Those small storms trained her for the hurricanes. In neuroscience terms, every time you choose a measured response over a reactive one, you strengthen the neural pathways that help you manage impulses. Over time, this becomes second nature. And discipline isn't about cold control, it's about channeling emotions into purpose. Anger can fuel change. Fear can sharpen focus. Grief can deepen empathy. Use the 3 R's: recognize, release, redirect. Name the emotion, discharge the tension. Decide where the energy goes next. Each time you do, you lay another brick in your fortress wall. 4. Turning pressure into power. Pressure reveals who we are beneath the surface. We don't rise to the occasion, we fall to the level of our training. Athletes know it, astronauts know it, and life will teach it to you whether you want to learn or not. I once watched a colleague lead a team through a disastrous product setback. While others panicked, he stood at the window, quiet, breathing. Then he spoke. "Here's what we can control." His steadiness spread through the room like oxygen. This is emotional contagion at work, the way our state spreads to others. Under pressure, if you can slow your mind while the world speeds up, you become the anchor everyone else holds on to. NASA trains astronauts in chaos, alarms blaring, systems failing, because the goal isn't to avoid stress, but to breathe through it. In your own life, you can do the same. Practice grounding your senses, repeating a mantra, or creating small rituals that return you to center. When you train this way, you stop fearing pressure. You start to see it as a forge, and in that forge, the heat doesn't destroy you, it shapes you. 5. Guarding your inner state. A fortress is only as strong as its gates. Guarding your inner state means being intentional about what and who you allow to shape your mood. We absorb the energy of those around us. Negative colleagues, toxic news feeds, and cluttered environments seep into us if we're not careful. I knew a designer who was drained not by his work but by lunchtime gossip. When he changed his surroundings, his energy returned. Protecting your inner state means curating not just people but space. Clutter increases cognitive load. Noise, visual or verbal, competes for your attention. A clean, intentional environment gives your mind room to breathe. And guarding your inner state also means watching your own habits. Waking up to your phone's notifications hands over control of your mood before you've even had coffee. Scrolling into the night floods your mind with noise. Protection isn't just about blocking them, it's about managing you. 6. Leadership through emotional mastery. True leadership begins with self-leadership. People don't follow you for your answers. They follow you for your presence. I once watched a project leader guide a panicked team through a massive setback simply by listening first, speaking second, and focusing on what could still be done. Her calm became the tuning fork for the room. Great leaders are thermostats, not thermometers. They don't mirror the environment, they set it. And that doesn't require a title. In families, friendships, and small teams, emotional mastery is what earns trust. This kind of leadership demands that you let go of the ego's hunger for instant validation. It's choosing to win trust over winning arguments, to hold steady when others are losing balance. Over time, people know they can stand taller because you are standing there.